Fish in farm dams are not only a wonderful source of food and recreation for your family, but they contribute enormously to the biodiversity of your farm. To keep the water nice and healthy, you should be thinking about fish in your farm dam, but there are 9 things that you need to do before you go ahead and stock your dam with fish to ensure success. Today, I'm speaking with Ian Campbell, the man who wrote this book, Fish for Farm Dams. Ian, how are you, mate?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having us on the show.
Mate, it's an absolute pleasure to be talking fish in farm dams. What made you write the book, mate?
I wanted people to get the best success rate out of fish in their dams, so there's all the tips, all the tricks to make sure that it turns out to be a success.
So the 9 tips today on fish in farm dams are all contained in this book of Ian's. You can grab a copy from the link in the description. In the meantime, grab yourself a cup of tea. Let's make our fish survive and thrive. Now, Ian, the obvious start of this conversation is fish species and varieties. There's a whole host out there. There are some common ones?
Yes, there is some common ones. So you got like silver perch, which is common. You got yellow belly, which is common. You got Murray cod. You got barramundi, you got trout, you got eel-tailed catfish. All depends in your local area to what you're allowed to have in it.
Those species that you just mentioned, they're quite widely dispersed in terms of fish in farm dams, aren't they?
Yes, that's right. And if you look at the east coast of Australia, we're pretty much split into 2 categories. You got the eastern drainage and the western drainage. And this is why it's very important to check with your local authorities what fish species is available in your catchment. So you've got to check it with your local hatchery.
Because one fish can become a pest if it's taken out of its range, and that goes to anywhere in the world, doesn't it?
That does, yeah.
So make sure you're buying fish from your local hatchery,
which is certified,
and make sure that you check with your local water authority.
100%.
How do you know if your hatchery's certified?
They've got a hatchery quality assurance program. So you want to check with the local hatcheries if they've actually got their licenses.
And that'll mean that you get healthy fish, unlike getting fish from your mate's dam that might have parasites.
100%.
So avoid that as well.
Yes, or getting fish from the wild and putting them into your dam, because you don't know what parasites that you're going to be bringing in. So yeah, that's very important.
So the size of your dam matters as well, Ian, and there's a couple of key measures here. This is a reasonable sized dam. What should I be worried about before I stock my dam with fish? What are the sizes that matter?
It's the depth and the surface area. So
right.
Depth matters for Australian native fish because we want a minimum of 1.5 metres in the middle of summer.
So at the lowest point of the dam, it's got to be 1.5 metres deep minimum before you think about stocking it with fish.
Yes.
And there's a lot of shallow dams in Australia, so that probably rules a few of them out.
It does. So the only thing you can do with shallow dams is throw yabbies in them.
Right.
So they like, you know, the shallow and they can handle that. Now, let's go back to the depth and we look at trout. Trout need 3.5 metres.
So species then determines the depth of the dam.
100%. Then we look at the surface area of the dam. So the rule of thumb calculation is for every 1/4 acre of surface area on the top of the water is roughly 100 fish per 1/4 acre.
And you recommend not stocking a dam that's less than 1/4 acre in size?
Yes, that's my recommendation.
Now, Ian, not every dam is suitable for fish, and it's a beautiful looking dam and it's got a large surface area, but it's quite shallow, so you reckon don't even try?
Yeah, Tim, don't even try. Put your money in fish that are going to go into a dam that's going to work. These type of dams are perfect for yabbies.
And you can eat yabbies, and they're a fine creature to have in your dam.
They are perfectly fine in shallow dams.
And while we're on the subject of this dam is not fenced off from livestock, and if you're going to put fish into any dam, you would suggest to have it fenced off?
It is better to have it fenced off because the water coming into the dam will get filtered through the plants and you won't have as many nutrients, and also the manure going into the dams.
So you won't have toxic algae and things like that in the water that could potentially kill your fish.
That's exactly right.
Everyone wins when there's a bit of a filtration zone between the paddocks and the dam.
That's right. And At certain times of the year, it might happen once every 10 years, might happen once every 5 years. If you have a big storm and all that organic material goes into your dam, the fish won't die then, but what happens is that organic material starts to break down, sucks out the oxygen from your dam.
Later.
Well, a month or two, everything just floats, yeah.
Now Ian, this dam has pretty good quality water, doesn't it? It's fairly clear and the parameters are pretty good. You aren't too concerned though about murky dams and silty dams?
No, because you have advantages and disadvantages with everything. So if you look at a dam like this is, you know, you can fairly see clearly in it. But let's say you've got a dam that's got yabbies in it and they've stirred it all up and it's brown water, like a light sort of milk and coffee colour. The advantage is the shags, the predators, won't see through that water. And shags, for our Northern American viewers, they're birds? Yeah, they're cormorants, which are a predator.
Not liked very much by people with fish in farm dams?
No, not liked very much because they do eat our fish. But with that murky water, you'll get away with the fish being in there and the predators will leave them alone. But the disadvantage is you don't have a lot of sunlight going through that water, so the biological activity in the natural food isn't going to be as much.
So you'll have a lower stocking rate with dirtier water?
That's exactly right.
And some varieties, I would imagine, or some species of fish would be better suited to dirty water than clean?
Yes. So you're looking at, in Australia, silver perch, which is an omnivore, elite plants and animals. They do a lot better in those murkier waters.
So Ian, stocking densities and species, I'm going to assume that multiple species, like in most environments, because this is another environment, multiple species are a good thing, but there'd be different stocking rates for different species?
Yes, there is. So there's a general stocking rate of 100 fish per quarter acre, but let's take some of our predator fish like Murray cod in Australia and barramundi. They're really good.
Big walloping, predator fish.
Big predator fish. If you stick them in the dam, they're going to dominate and they're going to eat everything. Yep. So you only want a few of them and you only want to put them in bigger dams.
So we need to go back to our high school science and remember the triangle. There's only ever a few predators at the top and there's a whole heap of prey at the bottom. We want to focus mainly on that.
Yes, and that's why silver perch is such a good starting fish in Australia. They're an omnivore, they eat plants and animals, and the more they get older, the more they turn into a herbivore.
Okay.
So if you stock them first, and it doesn't matter what you stock after that, those big silver perch aren't going to eat the other fish.
So be intelligent with your stocking. Just because you want to catch Murray cod doesn't mean that you should fill your small dam with Murray cod, because you'll have nothing left and then they'll die as well.
That's exactly right.
Now, natural predators, Ian, there are quite a few, and they're going to clean your fish up if you're not careful, aren't they?
Oh yeah, that's 100% correct.
The poor fellow that owns this dam stocked his dam and the eels cleaned him right out. So what can we do to try and reduce the likelihood of having our fish wiped out by native predators?
Oh, there's several things that we can do. One of the reasons why I wrote the book was I went to heaps of field days and farmers would always say, you know, oh, the shag's got all me fish, and then when the drought hit, there'd be hundreds of fish at the bottom of the dam. Yep. So there is a few really, really important things to do, and there's a few really key predators. That's the shags. I think we've already talked about that. There's eels, there's turtles, and then there's also people.
Yes.
So let's talk about people. One, don't tell anyone you stocked your dam. So if someone...
Don't go down the pub and brag about the big fish you just put in the dam.
Yes, don't tell anyone. Tell them it was your neighbour's dam you put them in. Number two is the shags. You're never going to actually get rid of the shags or cormorants. You're never really going to stop them all coming in there. So we need to talk later about habitat and how to build habitat and protect our fish. Eels, general rule with eels is anything a metre long will eat anything 10% its body size. So
as long as you're stocking your dam with fish that are greater than 10% of the body size of the eels, they should be relatively safer.
That's right, and eels are only on the eastern side, or the eastern side of the Great Dividing Range, all the way up the east coast of Australia. So if you're on the western side of the Great Divide, you won't have any eels at all.
And we've also got some wonderful kumbungi over here. That's going to help with predators as well, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Give somewhere for the small fish to hide.
That's exactly right. They'll get in there and they'll hide and keep out of the predator's way. You've got to remember, especially Australian native fish, they're born to hide. They're freaking out if a shadow's going past. So that's why you never see them. They're always hiding from you.
So don't try and remove all the vegetation from your dam if you want good healthy fish that don't get caught by the first cormorant that flies past.
That's exactly right. Oh wow, look at this, pallets. I'm excited now. Let's get ready.
I've never seen a grown man get so frothy over a pile of pallets. What's going on, Ian?
Oh mate, this is perfect habitat. This is a fish hotel waiting to go in the dam. So the best way to do it is don't put these pellets any more than say about 1.5 metres deep in the water. Have them in the shallow.
Up nice and high.
I have them up nice and high.
Righto.
As you can see, there's lots of little swim throughs here for them.
So bind them together with a bit of old wire or something like that and throw them in as a pile.
Throw a few bricks on top, make sure that they sink down.
Yeah.
And this is perfect habitat. Now, this here is not perfect habitat. This is treated pine.
So don't use treated pine in the water, obviously.
No.
CCA no good.
No, no good at all. But yeah, you put some pallets over there, you put some pallets over here, you can fish that reef over there, you can fish that reef over there.
And you don't have to move.
No, you don't have to move.
I like it. Now, what about old mate that put out his car tyres? What do you think of that?
Oh, well...
You go to a lot of dams around the country and there's car tyres all through the dam and they reckon, oh, it's good habitat.
Yeah. Well, you think of the shags, the second most efficient predator in the world. They're going to work out that geometry really quickly, and then
because it's even and predictable.
It's even and predictable. The more chaotic you can make it,
yep,
the better it is.
So maybe don't even make a perfect pile out of your pellets. Just have them all higgledy-piggledy.
Yeah, throw more branches on top. Just keep that structure all chaotic.
So we're trying to mirror a tree that's fallen in the water, that's very hard for a swimming bird to navigate safely so that it keeps them away from the fish.
That's it. And if you look at a natural stream, they've got turtles, they've got eels, they've got birds, they've got everything in there, and you still have fish.
Yeah, okay.
So
we're trying to go back to nature with the humble pellet.
With the humble pellet. And if you want to go clean your dam when it gets too low, you can just clean up around it.
Perfect. But avoid treated pine and avoid the car tyres. Bad.
That's it.
We shouldn't feed our fish when we release them into the dam.
No, we shouldn't feed our fish because it's called hatchery naivety. You don't want to feed the fish and get them used to coming to one spot, especially when they're small, because all you're doing is making it easier for the predators to get them.
Because the cormorants will figure out they're always there.
Oh yeah, they're smarter than us.
And they'll think the cormorant is us.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, right.
So when they're a lot bigger, not a problem, but not at the beginning. And when you want to actually catch them, you want to find some roadkill on the side of the road, and then
bit of rotten meat,
hang it up near a tree or put it on a floating barrel. I don't care how you do it, but just get the maggots falling into the water. And that's what they used to in the old days do to get the fish to come to an area.
Get fish sort of circling around there and then you just throw your lure in on top of it.
Exactly right.
So you can feed fish, but don't feed them young and don't feed them as a habit.
That's exactly right.
Well mate, we're wrapping this up now. We've got to talk about best fish for you. There's a lot of fish to choose from. How do you figure out what the best fish for you is?
Location.
Yep.
Size of your dam, and legally what you're allowed to have in your dam in your area, which is really important because you don't want to have fisheries or the police or anyone around your place because you put some silly fish in. And you can see what's happened in Australia with different species of fish going into different locations. In most of the country, we've got carp, they've gone in, which has destroyed the environment. There's tilapia in Queensland, which is causing havoc up there. So please, please, please check with your local authorities and find out what legally you can have in your dam once you've worked out what you like and the size of your dam.
Now there's pretty heavy fines and even jail term for people that break the rules according to where you can put fish. So it does pay, even just from a selfish point of view, to do the right thing, doesn't it?
It does.
Now also it would depend, I suppose, if you want to eat the things or you just want them to keep your dam clean. There's going to be different species for different purposes, aren't there?
That's right. If you want just to keep the weeds off your dam, you're looking at a different species to the ones where you just want to eat on a regular occasion.
So people can get in touch with you through the Aquaponics Australia Facebook page, but more importantly they can buy the book, and there's lots more information about what we haven't covered today.
Oh, tons more.
And the link is in the description. Guys, if you found this useful and interesting, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel because Ian's going to be on it again. I want to make sure of that. And I'll see you next week for more great content.
Have a great day.